On the 27th of November 2002, a horrific crime unfolded in Miami, USA. A young couple celebrating their anniversary decided to take a leisurely stroll. Suddenly, they were ambushed by a group of 5 unknown assailants. Both the young woman and her partner were forced into separate vans, where they endured unimaginable tortures. Despite the excruciating injuries he sustained, the young man miraculously survived the ordeal. However, the brutal attack left an indelible scar on his life, requiring years of intensive psychological therapy to recover. Ana Maria Angeli was born in 1984 in Medellin, Colombia. She was the daughter of Margarita Osorio, a dedicated teacher at a local school. Ana Maria's early years were shaped by the pervasive violence that gripped the country at the time. It was amidst this turbulent backdrop that Margarita made the life-altering decision to immigrate to the United States, seeking a brighter and safer future for herself and her only daughter. Driven by a profound belief that a safer haven awaited them, she embarked on a journey to North America with her 6-year-old daughter, her heart brimming with hope. Choosing Miami, Florida as their new home, she, a teacher by trade, made the selfless decision to set aside her career. To ensure their security and financial well-being, she embraced work as a cleaner. The initial days were fraught with challenges, navigating a foreign land as a single mother. Yet with unwavering determination, they gradually adapted to their new reality. As the years passed, her daughter, Ana Maria, blossomed into an exceptional student, maintaining a stellar academic record throughout her schooling. Her outstanding grades earned her membership in the National Honor Society at South Miami High School, where she also excelled as the star goalkeeper and captain of the girls' soccer team. Balancing studies, sports, and a part-time job at a hardware store to ease her mother's financial burden and save for a car, a young woman finally achieved her goal after several months of dedicated work. She relished her newfound freedom, enjoying her car until tragedy struck, abruptly ending her life. In late December of 2001, the 17-year-old began a relationship with a boy her age. His name was Eddie Nelson Portabanco, a fellow student at her high school. Their connection was strong. Ana Maria and Eddie shared common interests, enjoyed each other's company, and held a deep respect for one another. With her future stretching out before her, the young woman harbored ambitious dreams. First and foremost, she longed to serve her country as a member of the United States Air Force. Following her time in the military, she envisioned herself as a school principal, a career path reminiscent of her mother's profession back home. Everything progressed smoothly until that fateful day, April 27th, 2002. On that day, Ana Maria and Eddie decided to go on a date. The young man had arranged a dinner at a well-known local restaurant. They enjoyed their meal and savored each other's company, sharing laughter and creating memories. As the evening unfolded, a dance seemed like the perfect next step. It felt as though the night was reaching its crescendo as they embarked on a gentle, romantic stroll. They spoke of their lives, their dreams, and the future they hoped to build together. The air was filled with promise. But as they turned back toward Eddie's car, the idyllic atmosphere shattered. Blocking their path were a group of 5 young figures. Hailing from Arterica, the couple's evening took a terrifying turn when 2 figures emerged. Each brandished a different weapon, their commands sharp and menacing. "Get in the car!" Almost forcibly, they were ushered towards a vehicle waiting nearby, destined for a more secluded location. Knowing the area was under frequent security patrol, the perpetrators forced their victims to lie flat in the rented van, a desperate attempt to avoid detection. Then came the demands, cold and precise. Wallets, card pins, phones, jewelry, everything of value was to be surrendered. Using Ana Maria's card, the criminals withdrew cash from a nearby ATM. Then with Eddie's cell phone, they dialed a number, reaching someone in the Orlando area, a call that would ultimately betray them. The drive lasted around 20 minutes. During the ride, the other thugs began pressuring Eddie to touch and kiss Ana Maria, demands he initially resisted. They began to strike him repeatedly on the head, and he was compelled to comply. Following this, the attackers demanded that he remove the girl's clothing and keep his head down. Eddie couldn't witness what they were doing to Ana Maria, but he heard her cries for help. In the end, for nearly 25 minutes, these men violated her. Finally, they arrived at a completely deserted shore. Eddie's world turned upside down in a brutal instant. Assailants seized him, tossing him out onto the cold street. They swarmed him, a flurry of kicks and sickening thuds. Then came the sharp, searing pain of the blade, slicing into him repeatedly. A wave of terror washed over Eddie as he faced the very real possibility of his own demise. Desperate, he made a split-second decision. Feigning lifelessness, he hoped they would cease their assault and leave him a chance to cry for help. Mistaking his stillness for death, they retreated back into their vehicle, leaving Eddie lying wounded on the unforgiving pavement. Haunted by the chilling realization that his girlfriend was stranded with him, the young man was unaware of the truth. She had left with the others. Broken and battered, he began to crawl towards the roadside when a kind stranger noticed him. He recounted his ordeal to the man, who immediately rushed him to the nearest hospital. Doctors discovered 14 stab wounds, along with countless bruises and lacerations across his body. As Eddie lay in his hospital bed, his only wish was for Anna Maria to be found, and for justice to be served swiftly. He clung to the hope that they could still save her. A sliver of possibility remained that her abductors had left her elsewhere. If the police acted swiftly, perhaps they would find her unharmed. But fate had a crueler twist in store. The kidnappers continued their journey with Sadna Maria in the van until they reached Palm Beach County, where they once again pulled over to the roadside. Two figures yanked the woman from the car, dragging her towards a looming wall. She found herself on her knees, pleading for mercy. As the desperate words left her lips, one of the men drew a pistol and fired. A click echoed in the silence, but no bullet emerged. Her cries intensified, laced with raw despair. He aimed again, pulled the trigger. Again, only a click, a chilling testament to failure. Then, as if in some twisted fable, the third attempt proved fatal. The bullet finally found its mark. Maria was struck and died instantly. After the heinous act, the perpetrators abandoned the body and fled back to Orlando. Early Sunday morning, the 28th, police questioned Eddie, who was with his father. The young man recounted the entire ordeal to the officers, providing a detailed description of the assailants and their vehicle. Upon receiving the crucial information, law enforcement launched an extensive search operation, focusing on both the perpetrators and the missing young woman. Her boyfriend and family clung to hope, desperately wishing for her safe return. They even left a series of voicemails on her cell phone, pleading with her abductors to release her unharmed. However, after only a handful of days, their hopes were tragically dashed. It did not take long for the police to track down the criminals. As the investigation unfolded, detectives traced a call from Eddie's phone to an apartment in Orlando. The connection led them to Hector Manuel Caraballo, a 29-year-old man supposedly residing there. Eager to follow the lead, officers, agents, and Bear headed to the apartment rental office, hoping to locate Hector. However, the manager on duty couldn't recall anyone by that name. Instead, she provided information on another individual, a 34-year-old named Victor Manuel Caraballo, who was listed as the apartment's tenant. With keys in hand and permission granted, the officers prepared to search the property, hoping to uncover crucial clues. Inside the apartment, they discovered Victor, along with Anna Maria's bank card, driver's license, wallet, and mobile phone. Eddie's wallet was also found within the premises. Rummaging through a trash container near the apartment, the police unearthed Anna Maria's shoes, the woman who was still officially listed as missing. Victor and his brother, Hector, were taken into custody. Subsequently, two officers set out for another residential complex in pursuit of the van used in the couple's abduction. Detectives on the scene apprehended 22-year-old Cesar Antonio Mina, who was subsequently taken into custody for questioning. Simultaneously, law enforcement identified additional individuals suspected to be involved. These individuals were revealed to be 16-year-old Jesus Torres Roman and his uncle, 23-year-old Joel LeBron. Their arrest occurred on April 29th at approximately 1 o'clock in the morning at a separate residential complex. During the arrest, authorities discovered a sports bag and a shopping bag in Joel's possession, both of which were confiscated as evidence. Inside, they didn't find a pair of brown boots, which, as it turned out, had bloodstains on them. The officers collected his clothing and glasses to preserve the evidence. Afterward, they placed handcuffs on the suspect, put him in a patrol car, and transported him to the station. The detectives anticipated a long day of questioning, but that wasn't the case. Jesus was the first to be interrogated. He didn't even wait for his rights to be read before confessing. The young man revealed that Anna Maria had indeed been shot, and at the time, he believed 80 had been killed as well. Jesus confessed to everything Anna and their companions had done that fateful night. He recounted how they had drugged Anna Maria, assaulted 2 young men, robbed them, and subjected them to unspeakable acts. The guy explained that Anna and the others had made a pact to keep silent about the events, but he ultimately crumbled under the weight of his guilt. At the tender age of 16, he was a killer, a rapist too. Perhaps it was his youth that cracked him, leading him to confess. He wept, a trembling, anxious figure, his sorrow palpable. Jesus revealed the precise location of Anna Maria's body. Authorities swiftly converged on the spot and, tragically, found the young woman's remains. Her hands were clasped in prayer, so those who arrived at the scene recounted. It seemed, in her final moments, she had pleaded for her life before her abductors silenced her forever. The coroner noted several superficial wounds, likely inflicted at the point of death. The body was then transported to the Sudman expert office for a thorough examination. Upon arrival, Anna Maria's mother identified her. A woman was devastated. She couldn't fathom fleeing her native Colombia to escape the violence, only to encounter such horror in the United States, a place she believed would be a sanctuary for her and her daughter. Investigations revealed that Anna Maria had been subjected to a brutal assault by multiple men. Forensic experts discovered traces of genetic material, providing them with sufficient evidence to pursue the case. Amidst the grief as Anna Maria's family mourned and bid her farewell, detectives revisited the apartment of Cesar, a suspect in the case. There, concealed within a closet, they found a collection of weapons, including 2 bladed instruments and a firearm. Forensic analysis later confirmed that this very gun had been used to end the young woman's life. Miami Beach Police Secretary Bob Bernandez confirmed to the press that 5 individuals had been apprehended. According to the officer, the couple were innocent bystanders, victims of circumstance, simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Miami-Dade County prosecutor Ketri Infernadesa Randley assured the public that the finest officers were dedicated to the case and that they would do everything within their power to ensure justice for the 2 grieving families. The suspects were taken into custody and placed under close observation due to concerns about potential self-harm. Having arrived at the Metro West Detention Center, Jesus seemed eager to embrace a persona he believed came with his newfound notoriety. Initially, he had been the first to cooperate with law enforcement, visibly distraught and even tearful over his friend's actions. However, this demeanor had undergone a dramatic shift. Jesus now reveled in recounting the details of the crime, seemingly basking in the attention it brought. Within the cold confines of the prison, be it the echoing hallways, the sweat-soaked gym, the grim toilet stalls, the echoing mess hall, or the stark solitude of his cell, he seized every chance to regale his fellow inmates with lurid details of the acts committed against Anna Maria and Eddie. He seemed to revel in it, as if these horrific deeds could somehow buy him respect, a twisted form of admiration within those unforgiving walls. But the effect was the opposite of what he'd intended. Even the most hardened criminals, men who had plumbed the depths of human depravity, couldn't stomach the actions of Jesus and his gang. They saw nothing to admire, nothing to respect, only something deeply, fundamentally wrong. Months drifted by, and the authorities, catching wind of a plot by the inmates to silence him permanently due to their mounting animosity, decided to transfer him to a different facility. Upon arriving at the new prison, a plan began to form in his mind, a scheme to eliminate Eddie. He was acutely aware that Eddie was the sole eyewitness to the events and that the young man was scheduled to testify in court, prepared to identify all 5 of them. Eddie, he knew, was the one person standing between them and lengthy prison sentences. Jesus, consumed by a dark desire, sought a way for someone to end his life. This twisted ambition caught the attention of the authorities. The police dispatched an undercover agent who was offered $12,000 by Jesus to murder Eddie. Of course, the agent refused, and this incriminating evidence was added to the growing case against him. Weeks passed as the legal machinery gathered momentum, culminating in the initial hearing. All 5 accused, including Jesus, pleaded not guilty, setting the stage for a complex and drawn-out trial. Hector claimed he was drawn into a revenge scheme orchestrated by Cesar. From behind bars in Miami-Dade County Jail, Hector recounted meeting Cesar roughly 3 weeks prior to the grim events. His 40-year-old girlfriend, Gladys Lepore, revealed that she and Hector were expecting Cesar to deliver illicit substances to their apartment on that Saturday afternoon, the day of the murder. Instead, Cesar arrived empty-handed and consumed by rage. Hector stated that Cesar confessed to them that he had traveled to Miami on Friday, April 26th, the day before the incident, with the intention of purchasing narcotics. Fueled by betrayal, he returned to Central Florida, his rage a palpable force. There he convened with a quartet of cohorts, their shared intent to inflict retribution upon the alleged dealer. Police sources later verified that each participant implicated Cesar as the mastermind behind the brutal assault. However, the prosecution faced a significant hurdle when Eddie, the sole witness, conceded his inability to positively identify more than a single assailant. He cited the dim lighting and poor visibility of that fateful night as factors hindering his perception. He was reeling. The blow to the head had scrambled his memory, leaving him struggling to grasp the faces of his assailants. Despite the grim outlook that led many to believe the case was going to be dismissed, the DNA evidence, combined with testimonies from other defendants, proved to be the turning point, building a case strong enough to not only proceed, but ultimately convict. Prosecutors brought the full force of the felony murder rule to bear, holding each person involved in the crime equally responsible, regardless of who delivered the fatal blow. The trial of the three men was slated to begin on the 23rd of September, 2002. They faced a litany of charges, including first-degree murder, attempted murder, rape with a weapon, armed kidnapping, and robbery. The trial was long delayed when, at last, 5 years after the dreadful crime, Victor Caraballo, 39 years of age, stood before the court as the first to be judged. He vehemently denied not only striking the young woman, not only ending her life, but any assault upon her whatsoever. Caraballo boldly stated that the trace of his DNA, discovered upon the victim's body, was due to an act of self-gratification, and thus he was innocent of any cruel act. His attorney argued that, since his client did not pull the trigger, he should only receive a life sentence. In a twist of fate, the jury saw things differently. April of 2007 marked a turning point, as he was found guilty and sentenced to death. 2 months later, in June of the same year, the judge upheld the jury's decision, sentencing him to execution for the crime against Ana Maria. In addition to the death sentence, he received 4 life sentences and 2 30-year terms for his other crimes. Next in line to face justice was 27-year-old Cesar Antonio Mina. The deputy prosecutor urged the jurors to impose the death penalty, emphasizing the victim's slow and agonizing suffering. However, after a 2-hour deliberation on November 8, 2007, he was acquitted of the rape charge but sentenced to life imprisonment. A few months later, in 2008, it was the turn of 22-year-old Jesus. He confessed to distracting the guard while the other 4 men seized the couple and forced them into the van. He admitted to watching them take turns humiliating and brutally tormenting Ana Maria, and confessed that he simply laughed. He confessed that after taking the young woman's life, they stole her purse. The man also admitted to assisting in cleaning the car to prevent its confiscation. He specified that he was capable of cleaning the car inside and out. Amidst the trial, as he testified, claiming the defendant was one of the 2 individuals he remembered assaulting and stabbing him. After hearing the evidence, the judge sentenced him to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. 4 years drifted by, and it was finally the turn of 2 more. Yet before Joel and Hector faced the courtroom's judgment, an unexpected shift occurred. On June 24, 2010, the Florida Supreme Court overturned Victor's death sentence due to a technicality, sending his case back for reconsideration. Joel's trial commenced on September 10, 2012, but the judge declared a mistrial. Sometime later, a retrial began, and on September 28, 2012, the jury found the men guilty on all counts, with a 9-3 vote recommending the death penalty. On October 26, while awaiting sentencing, Hector Manuel Carballo pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, accepting a 50-year prison term. He later claimed he'd misunderstood the plea deal, believing it was for 30 years, and blamed the translator and his attorney for the confusion. However, the judges dismissed his arguments. The Miami-Dade prosecutor explained to the court that they accepted the guilty plea because the evidence against Carballo wasn't as strong as it was against the other men involved. Before the court delivered its sentence, Hector's lawyers requested a life sentence for him. He faced a death sentence, compounded by 6 consecutive life terms. Yet the ordeal wasn't over for the girl's family, as each perpetrator held the right to appeal. In December of 2017, the Supreme Court reviewed Joel's appeal. His death sentence was overturned and a new trial phase was ordered. The court cited the jury's lack of unanimity as the reason for their decision. Despite efforts to track the proceedings, no reports of this new hearing have surfaced, nor have any regarding Victor Carballo's case. One's death sentence had been commuted back in 2010. However, it's important to remember that these individuals were already serving life sentences for other offenses. Ultimately, all 5 of Ana Maria's killers will spend the remainder of their days behind bars.